Hey, founders. I'm going to try something a little bit different today. I'm trying to do a video first newsletter. So I've got my Post-it with a couple of the key points I want to cover. And I'm going to try recording this, doing some light editing and sharing it along with the newsletter. So if you like this format, let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to foundersedition.co and you can check out the text version of the newsletter. So moral of the story is I've had my highs and lows. I started out, the company that turned into predictable revenue with extremely high conviction. I've had some really low points, and I'm currently on I guess you could say an upswing, given we shut down our outsourcing business, pivoted to coaching, consulting founders, focused on helping founders, and that's going, I think, fair to say, pretty well. I was reflecting on what helped me get here and what could be helpful to share with others. And I think there are two books that really helped me. The first was a book called Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard P. Rummelt. The first time I read this book, it helped me understand that I had never done anything strategically ever. The quarterly planning, the annual planning, those were all just coming up with numbers and then trying to find a way to work around those numbers. And we had fun names and big, hairy, audacious goals, but they never really amounted to anything strategic. There was no strategic value happening there. I just fell in love with Good Strategy, Bad Strategy because it spoke to me at a moment where I was really struggling to find a way to make a contribution strategically. So in the book, Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, Richard talks about his framework, or at least I use it as a framework. It starts with laying out the facts of the situation, set the context, set the table. What has happened? What position has that put you in the market? The next step is the diagnosis. And that's really, why are we in this situation? That's what you're trying to understand. Like, what is the crux, as he puts it in his next book? What is the crux of the problem? Then the next piece is the guiding policy, which is how are we going to get our way out of the situation? And then coherent action is the plan, is the next steps. And this framework kind of helped me realize that all the OKR planning, it didn't have this additional lens. It didn't have the, you're supposed to think about the big, hairy, audacious goals, but thinking about goals doesn't help you think through all the problems and challenges and the reason. Like, it's very easy to miss, like, the reason you're in the plan and, like, what is the core diagnosis? And when I ran these engagements with my own leadership or exec team, I've spent nearly an entire day defining the situation and the diagnosis. And so this isn't something that you can just jump to. It's something that you got to really think deeply about and take a long time to think slowly and understand. Good Strategy, Bad Strategy was part one of helping me understand how I need to think about developing the strategy for my company. The second book that helped me put the pieces of the puzzle together was a book called How to Decide by Annie Duke. Now, I recognized Annie Duke's name from watching the World Poker Tour back in the day. Anyway, she talks about her process for making decisions. And the comment of hers that stuck with me the most was that she tried not to think of herself as an outcomes collector. Instead, she wanted to follow a good decision process. And so, when she's playing a hand, she can play the hand correctly and have a bad outcome, but she was still a good poker player. And it really made me kind of feel this, like, stoic wisdom of it. You can be a founder, you can make bad decisions, but you're still a good founder. And, like, your latest decision, your last sale, your last customer doesn't change whether or not you're a good entrepreneur or not. And that kind of piece of it really spoke to me. And so what Annie's book helped me with was figuring out that I was making low quality decisions. So Good Strategy, Bad Strategy helped me understand that I wasn't thinking strategically. And then How to Decide helped me improve my decision quality and recognizing that I needed a decision process. And so when I had these, like, gut instincts, I wasn't just going, okay, now let's go change everything. Okay, if I'm being totally honest, I had to go grab Annie's book and update my Post-its because I didn't remember all the pieces. I'm going to give you the highlights from my memory of how I use it, but I'd highly encourage you to go buy the book, check it out. The first piece that I really remember from Annie's book that had the biggest impact on me was writing down my biases, writing down my bets, and writing down my decisions and probabilities. And the way I remembered this was it transforms biases into bets. Biases are something that are kind of inherent, like beliefs, and bets are something that we can measure. And that was a really helpful piece for me because it allowed me to just kind of brain dump, like, okay, this is my perspective. This is how I see things. These are all the lenses that I'm filtering my decisions through. And then the process in actually like making the decision, first you want to look at all the outcomes that could potentially come out of making this decision. Then you want to assess the probabilities that each one's going to happen. You look at the upsides and the downsides, you compare all the alternatives, and then you weight them. And when you bring this together with good strategy, bad strategy, and trying to figure out like what is the crux of the decision and like what is our guiding policy, like how are we going to get past that crux, it helps you, it gives you a framework for trusting your gut. Because for me to just show up and say, hey, founders, you're smart, you're the one that started the company, trust your gut, go with it, don't think about it, is the wrong advice. It's also the right advice. I mean, you do need to trust your gut and you do need to have high conviction about what you're doing. And having low conviction can lead to you and your company getting stuck in nowhere land. And if I'm being honest, that probably happened to me for the last couple of years. I really didn't love running predictable revenue. We had good people, we had good customers. I didn't love what we were doing. I didn't love what we were creating in the market. I wasn't happy, and I didn't have high enough conviction to get over that momentum of changing things. And so I had to go back to my fundamentals, which for me, it's good strategy, bad strategy. And that helped me develop the conviction that I needed to get over that hump, to get over the, we're locked in and we're doing this. You know what? I'm going to rip it up and I'm going to take on the risk of doing something else, because this is what we need to do. This is what I felt like I had to do in order to really enjoy coming and showing up at predictable revenue every day. And now that we've gone through and made this change, the last 6 months were scary as hell, but I'm extremely happy and very grateful that everybody, on the team kind of helped us and pulled through. But I'm much happier at my company now than I was 6 months ago, and probably 10x a year ago. So yeah, I think that's my framework. You got to have high conviction. You got to trust your gut, but you probably also should make sure you're following a high quality decision process. And books like Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, and How to Decide will help you articulate better what's in your gut. And I think that's the most important piece, is that you are the expert on the customer. You are the expert on the market. You have done all the research. You understand what the gap is. And I think where I failed was communicating that to the rest of the team in a way that they could understand it. So go check these 2 books out and trust yourself. You got this.